Oh, hi. It's working.
Hi.
Hi.
So
Um,
so we'll go ahead and get started. I wanted to let everybody know that we are recording this session for the first 30 minutes, and we'll have a few extra minutes that will not be recorded at the end. I've left a note there in the chat window. My name is Anne Murray, and I'm the curator of Cloud Conversations. And I've invited Kinga Bartniak to come today to talk about her project, Legumina, which is like the second part of it. And she'll explain that. And there'll be some time later on to ask some questions. So please keep your microphone muted. That way it won't have any distracting sounds. And then when there's time for questions, you can unmute the microphone. So welcome, and let's go ahead with the presentation. Let's get started. Go ahead, Kinga.
okay. Hi. Nice to see you all. I see that there are some people already. I'm Kinga Bartniak. I'm from Poland, a young artist from Poland. I've just started a PhD on a topic about commodification of freedom, which is mostly about the consumption and trading our work and our responsibility in work for the consumption. But it's not the topic I'm going to talk about. My main field is intermedia. I don't even have the actual visual field. I find my field people. So all the works that I do, they are I'm a mediator where I create spaces where people can with which people can interact with. So I don't do a sociological work. I rather let people exist in the spaces that I create. And I would like to mention two works that will lead into to the project that I'm going to talk about later. I need to share the screen. Yeah, I hope it will. Yeah. So the first work that I would like to mention is the interspecies vehicle, where I thought about exploring the tactile space, the tactility of the body, and I noticed that in nowadays world we deprive ourselves from the touch, deprive ourselves from senses. So I've created, I made a mattress from the water glass, from the water grass, in which people, the visitors, could roll themselves into it and experience the touch, in the interspecies touch with plants, with insects, the touch that we cannot really experience with other people. So that's the like a small introduction. And the another work was the idea of the ocean, which was my diploma work, and it consisted of the space of the ocean, of passports, and I've created a game-like space that people could immerse into it, and it involved a lot of questions that anyone could answer the way just their way, according to their system, to their system of beliefs. So that's like a small introduction. And do you see the shared screen, the presentation? Yeah, okay. So just before the pandemic started, I was supposed to make the work, the Legumina, not Second Life, but just the Legumina. I was invited by the Jest Gallery, a young gallery in Wrocław, set by 5 young painters who finished the Academy of Art and Design in Poland, in Wrocław. And they invited me to do a project during the Symposium 70, which was a conceptual symposium 50 years ago. So I was supposed to do a work, anything that I would invent, that I would think of. And I decided that I didn't want to create anything selfish, anything about me, anything that would present my own work. I would rather create a space for interaction. So uh, I decided to prepare a long table with and prepare the foods. And after the food, after eating the legumina, which is a dessert, a very simple dessert, made from flour and some just like very sticky sweet dessert. After that food, that meal together, everyone would wash the dishes, so they would get into the very intimate contact. So I was supposed to do the project just before the pandemic started. So uh, I understood that if the pandemic will continue for longer than even a few months, it would be, I would say, um, irresponsible to stick to the idea of contacting, of such a strong tactile contact, such a strong sensory contact where people um, uh, would use not only the smell but the touch, and like it would be just irresponsible. So we already had the budget, everything was prepared, and I decided that I don't want to lose the possibility to do that work, because I had the concept already created. And I moved to the internet chat rooms just to research, uh, just to search for the answers, how to make the projects in the internet space, and how to overcome the physical distance and touch deprivation that started during the pandemic. So. Um, I logged into chat rooms, and I noticed that the users turn into the role play, and it was mostly a sexual role play. I never agreed for that, but I thought that it could be the right way to do the project that I would like to do, and and especially that legumina. When I started looking for the recipes for the legumina, it turned out that there are plenty of them that are called ambrosies. So something that lets the eater, the person who eats it, to gain the immortality. So uh, that project, I would like to um, not to trace it, but to move it to the virtual space, where we would slowly get into the history, get to the story of the world that I'm going to create, and slowly lose all the senses. So, uh, so I state the question in the beginning: why was the automatic door invented? And it really refers to the traces of pandemics in Europe, um, and and the idea of automatic doors and all the automatized um, devices stands behind um, our uh, our fear of bacteria and fear that exists in our bodies, in our minds, because due to the pandemics and due to the massacres, catastrophes that happened many years ago. And I was searching for the answers, if the conversation can become a substitute for physicality, and if we can create a mental touch. So I'm going to, in that role play forum, in that role play online website, I would like to involve people into the mental touch. So and there is one more thing that I would like to have on that website. One more topic that I would like to say about that website is that I believe that people create better stories than anything that I could think, imagine, and that's why I would rather make the platform where for exchanging the ideas and for exchanging the experiences, and that's why maybe we are the world makers or the story makers. And what I said, that's internet in some ways gives us the immortality, so that's why I also keep the idea of Ambrosis of Legumine, of that very simple dish, but while we would be writing on the role play on the Legumina website, we would slowly gain some kind of immortality. So so the outcome, the final work will be the role play forum, where everyone could create their character that would be totally anonymous, and it would in some way flatten the hierarchy between people. So with the first project that I wanted to do, the one that would exist in the reality, the flattening the hierarchy would be with that intimate action of washing the dishes. Because I would imagine inviting, for example, a director of a really big museum in Wrocław, and I would like him or anyone else to wash the dishes all together, to get involved in a very home kind of activity. So here the anonymous position of the person, anonymous character would be like the flattening of the hierarchy. So in that forum, in that role play idea, it's so that's to check out the notes. So in that role play, we would have the forum. We would create the characters and would focus on eating the thing. Like we would be cleared out of senses, because it's the way to provide the experience that is equivalent to touch or to other senses. I would like people, the users, the visitors, to imagine together eating something that's so filled, that should be filled with senses. To imagine eating that ambrosis, which was the food of gods, and so it would be like very sweet or very intense in taste, in texture, in smell, and it will be visual, like very pleasant. But all the users, all the visitors of the website, of the roleplay, cannot see it, cannot touch it, cannot smell it. They have to imagine it themselves. And having in mind that it will be such a how to say, like filled with senses experience. So they need to write about it themselves, and and having in mind that what they write will make them immortal in some way. So yeah, I think I hope it's enough. I can talk about it more, or we can switch to questions. Do you want to switch to questions?
Yeah, we can take a moment to kind of allow people to ask some questions. And I don't know if anybody has any questions. You're welcome to unmute your own mic and ask them now. It would be a good time. Yes, does anybody want to ask some questions? Okay, well, if people are a little bit hesitant, that's okay. I have some questions. So I just I want to clarify a little bit because it's a very interesting project. It's quite fascinating how you've conceived all of these different elements together, you know, starting from this idea, you know, with this dessert and something very sweet, and then it transforming into really ambrosia, this food of the gods, and this concept of immortality with the internet, um, and uh, and this transition also from everybody being in this hierarchy on Earth or in our physical space to then the idea of washing dishes or eating something that everyone experiences together, how then it becomes a communal experience and also takes away that physicality and status and power. I'm just wondering, like, has this been a direction you've been moving on in as far as your work? Like, are there other works that you might reference that led up to this idea, or how did you come to this? You know, I mean, you said that it was already partly planned before the pandemic, and so it's not something that came out of that, although it may have evolved from that. Just kind of curious about how it links to some of the former works.
Okay, so as I mentioned in the beginning, I already done works that consist of spaces, of creating the spaces that's I would like leave for people to experience, and I already did a work that is mostly about the touch and deprivation of touch. So the work that I told you about before, I don't know if I can open it. Yeah. Is the interspecies vehicle website visible? Oh, is it? Yeah. So I've done the work that was like half a year before the pandemic started, and I mostly focused on the how people are afraid of the touch and afraid of the senses, afraid of experiencing other people. And since I don't know, plenty of years, I kind of envied bugs and insects that they could land on the skin, on someone's skin. And that's why I started making the project with senses. And I noticed that there was that like a barrier between our own species, between humans to touch, to hug, and I don't know, to touch other skins. That's each other's skins. That's, for example, a bug had a smaller like a physical distance, it was more allowed to touch another person than another human being. And when I was thinking about the idea for the symposium, for the Yes Gallery that's invited me to do the project, I wanted to do something that would not be my work. Like, I wouldn't like to just hang pictures or hang graphics or make a video, but rather to create a space or rather experience that people could be in together. So um, so the idea was to create a table, a long table for 70 people, where they would all sit together with intimate action, with the intimate act of eating something sweet and eating something very simple, and which then turned to the ambrosia, because I was looking for the recipes, and it turned out that it's a very simple connection, but it turned out that um, it's just fitted the story well. I mean, it's really simple. It's just how I came up with the ambrosies, and so. Uh,
I think that's
so
beautiful. Yeah. I'm sorry, did you have more that you wanted to say to add to that, or? Because I was
yeah, just
thinking also about
yeah.
some older works. I remember that you had some squares or something that you could touch. It was some sculptural kind of works. I remember from the past. I've forgotten now the titles. Yeah, maybe patchwork or something. I'm not sure. Uh,
So
Yes,
made
this
yeah.
work, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we with Josephus we did installation, the interactive installation, but it doesn't really relate to the actual to the Nowadays project because um, it wasn't a site-specific work. It was more like a history-specific work because it was in Lithuania and were asked to make a project that would involve 9 pieces of music, 9 pieces of classical music that weren't allowed to be played in Lithuania during the communist times. So we created something that was supposed to be in some way kitschy, that it would look like coming from the West, because people those times believed that everything that comes from the West is always good. It's always like it has the higher value in some way. And we've created a project that would contain those sounds, those melodies, but only the like the average frequencies of those. So in each of those pieces, in each of those pillows, there will be only a frequency of average frequency of the music that we've got. But it doesn't really relate to. I mean, people could sit on it, even lie flat on the pillows, but it's not about the touch yet. Maybe it was like one of the first experiences that I had with the touch. I think that's project that infusing processes works better because it was mostly about feeling the pleasure from doing from consumption in some way. It was like a closed circle. I thought about the story that I heard from my dad, who told me that a cacao plant is really prone to collecting, not to collecting, but to introducing, to building in the heavy metals into its parts. So it's really simple that when we send away the electric trash to Africa, it's really simple. I mean, the basic is really simple. It's just the story. When we send it away to Africa or to any country that collects the trash, the electronic trash, electronic waste, um, the, the heavy particles, for example, in batteries, they get into the ground and in some way they get built into the cacao plant. So I thought about that circle that we get the pleasure out of um, a very exclusive food, what is a chocolate, and the more cacao is in that chocolate, the more toxic it may become, and it all comes from us. So I work in those circles, and that circle is also visible in the projects with Legumina, because there is that connection with the immortality and the touch. I don't know if I could present it in a way it should be presented. So, but yeah, it's mostly, that one is mostly about the pleasure and the touch. I made some kind of a very short performance when I was lying down and exposing myself to the sun and eating the chocolates. So I don't know. I can. So that one is that project is like the most closely related, like instead of those two that I talked about in the beginning.
And then do you have some more we have some time left on the recording. We have about 4 minutes if you want to explain something else, and then we'll turn off the recording and we can still talk for about 10 more minutes. So did you have something more that you wanted to share about the work, or maybe if there's someone else who has a question, or we can take the opportunity. No? Okay, go ahead. Did you have something more to ask or to share?
Yeah, hi guys. Sorry, I do have a question actually, because I was kind of surprised to find out that you went in your conceptual work onto thinking about the sensation of the touch and of all the things that we will be missing because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I remember our conversation like 2 months ago when I told you that I missed the idea of picking something up from the ground because I don't want to feel separated from the environment. And you said that well, maybe you not so much because you've always used to open the doors with your elbows. And then I would think that uh, um, that your research that's been ongoing for months on the ethics at the workplace and the distinction between the working time and the free time that people have. Well, that's getting just all blended now, right? Because we're all working from home and we are taken away from our usual working routine.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe my question is not really so much related to the ambrosia and sweet eating project, but I was wondering where are you in that working and work time project? Like, are you developing those ideas and still researching in the changing
Mm-hmm.
conditions, or did you just put that on hold because of the pandemic?
Uh, so the project with work is still going on because it's my PhD idea. It's my PhD topic. But the Legumina project is, I got invited by the Yes Gallery and by Agata, which is also here on with us during the conversation, but I don't know, she's not talking and not without the video. So I was invited by Anne to talk about the project that is like the most relevant for me, like for me right now. That's why I talked about the Legumina, the Ambrosies. But the thing about workers is still going on. I'll focus mostly for now on the border, like which is like very slight, which is very blurred between work and the free time, between and how workers, for example, in corporations, get involved in some kind of a labor into it's also called like happiness. There is a book, Happiness Industry. I don't know if you heard about it, where it's how managers pursue people to be more efficient, but in a way that people don't really feel that they are more efficient. They like the work more, even though that they don't do what they would love to do. So with the industrial revolution, when people started doing more like how to say it, like boring works, they needed to switch their need to be important in some ways for the society, and their need to be creative, their need to be creatively responsible for the society. It was switched to the free time, and it's coming back slowly, but I think that maybe in a bit unhealthy way. That's uh, when the workplace becomes more like a playground just to keep the workers there. So I focus mostly on that. When it comes to the working project, to my PhD, it's mostly about the blurred um, the blurred fields of work and the um, yeah, and the free time. So but yeah, it's not really relevant. It's not really like yeah, it's not really relevant to today's topic.
Sorry, then. I was just curious. So then I had one more question, because you were talking about an online experience of the project that you've presented, right? No,
Yeah.
so did you have any, because I can't really picture the user experience of the project, and since it's such an important issue when it comes to intaking anything online, like we have a very different openness for an experience where when we enter a gallery or an exhibition, and then when we go to a website, it's a totally different set of preparation that we bring into that. And we do have some defensive mechanisms just like right there. How would you imagine your website? What would it be like? And how would you make it so that it speaks to and invites the participant the most?
So that's the thing that I'm researching right now, and together with Agata and the rest of people from the Yes Gallery, because we are working right now on the website, and we have like two for now. I mean, with Agata, we have one path to make the website. We would like to refer to the beginning of role-play forums, for example, in the middle of 2000s, in the beginning of 2000s, when the role play forums started to appear, and but a few days ago I had a really nice conversation with a lady who works with with the user experience, with user experience, with user interface, and also with the like immersive spaces and the design that it's that's joins like the field that joins design and art. So, so I don't know how the visuality will look yet. I don't know that. We started working on it, but yeah, Agata.
No, I just wanted to say that I didn't really mean like the graphic side, the visual side, but the usability of the thing. So
so it will be we already have it. It's like we have the home page with the main key story, which shows how you slowly lose all the senses, and then you can get into the creating the characters, the creating characters page. So then you create the character, you become totally anonymous with the picture, with the picture that we are going to create for you, and then there will be a forum, the role play, the actual role play, and set of events. So the first event that's Legumina eating together, and it will be more like a vernissage, like an opening in the gallery, but opening on the website, and then we could all like immerse ourselves in that, like in having no senses but imagining all those senses. And I hope people because we will get involved.
great. I really can't wait. So yeah, good luck.
To eat some sweets.
Yeah.
It sounds wonderful. I'd like to participate. It sounds really great. I'm gonna say thank you right now for your presentation and close off the recording time. And we have still a few minutes we can talk. So thank you so much. It was really wonderful. We are going to have another cloud conversation with Agata, who she is an artist and a curator, and they've been working together, and that will be on Saturday at the same time at 6 p.m. Polish time. And you can find the link for the Zoom meeting on the Cloud Conversations website. I put that in the chat. Maybe if you could just stop sharing now for me, Kinga, so that people can see the chat, and then you can save the chat with the 3 little dots in the corner. There's opportunity to save the chat as well. So let me just stop the recording.